Dogs are getting murdered. Greetings, my name is Mike, and welcome to this Death Prophet guide explained video thing. I don't really know what to call it. But today I'm going to be focusing mostly on her abilities. I'll explain what they do, how they work, how they work together, and how you should skill them and use them in the game. I'll also give a few item mentions, but this is mostly focused on her abilities. So if you're not too sure about what Death Prophet does, I definitely recommend you checking this out. Death Prophet is a hero that's most commonly played in the mid lane because she needs to get that solo experience going because she likes her levels. She needs to level up the very powerful ultimate, which you'll see just now. So that's why she likes the mid lane. And she's also a very good pushing and team fighting hero. Don't worry, you'll see just now why I say that, but trust me, she's a good team fighting and good pushing hero. And she also loves to be in the middle of the fight because she has lots of sustain, so she loves to be in the middle of the fight, causing as much chaos as possible. So let's get on to her abilities, shall we? So our first ability is called Crypt Swarm, and it's a pretty straightforward one actually. She just throws out a wave, which looks like that, and deals magic damage to anyone that it hits. And that's literally all. There are a few interesting side notes that can help you out though. Firstly, it's a bit strange how the wave travels. It starts off with a small area of effect and gets bigger as it goes out. So it's not a constant thing like Lena's Dragon Slave. It starts off with a small area and gets bigger as it goes out. So if people are closer to you, they have a little bit less of a chance of being hit than if they're further away. And also another weird thing is that the travel distance of the wave is greater than the cast range. So you see if I go here, for example, you see my cast range, it just goes up to Centaur here about. But if I cast it, it'll still hit everyone behind him, even though the cast range ends at that green line. So just keep that in mind. You can still hit people if they are out of cast range. Now the thing about this ability is that if you take a look, its damage is pretty good. It goes up to 300 on max level with a 5-second cooldown and 800 range. So it is a pretty good spell overall. The only kind of sucky thing is the mana cost, but that's to be expected, I guess. So we're going to actually be maxing this, or I recommend maxing this ability out first, mostly for nuking enemies and for farming, right? This is Death Prophet's main farming ability. You need to get the creeps, you need to get the money going, so that's why we max this ability out. In the later game it kind of falls off a bit, but as I say, it's mostly for farming, so max it out first. Right, our second ability is called Silence, and it's also a straightforward one. She literally just silences all enemies in a specific area. It just looks like that. That's literally all it does. So then obviously can't use spells while they're silenced. A few things about this ability though. Its duration is really good on max level, up to 6 seconds. It's got a huge area as well, like that, so you can definitely hit a few targets with each cast. You can hit maybe 2 or 3 people easily each time. And the cooldown is also pretty good, 12 seconds. The kind of sucky part is the mana cost, which is alright, it's not too great though. So I would recommend just taking a value point of this early on, because silence is a good thing to have, but we don't need to max it out, A duration of 3 seconds on first level is really good. And the mana cost of 80 as well is nice, because we can then spam the first ability more. Alright, our third ability is called Spirit Siphon, and this is where it starts to get interesting. I've got a few notes there, so forgive me for looking that way the whole time, but I just don't want to miss anything out. So let's read it here. Creates a spirit link between Death Prophet and an enemy unit, draining 14 plus a certain percentage of their max HP per second, and stealing movement speed from the enemy. So this basically means that when you use it on someone, it drains HP from them per second, slows them as well, and heals you per second and speeds you up as well. So yeah, it's a pretty powerful ability actually, and as I said, it's a charge based ability, so you can use it on up to 4 people at once if you have all 4 charges. However, you can't put it on the same target multiple times. The link does last 6 seconds, and it can be broken only if the enemy gets out of range. If they go invulnerable or something, say for example they Yules themselves, the link still carries on. It doesn't damage them, but it still carries on, so after the Yules you can keep on damaging them. Speaking of the link break range, let's just see. So the break distance is 750, it doesn't say it here, but it's 750, and the cast range is 500. So it's got quite a low-ish cast range, as you can see, but the break range is bigger than that. So let's cast it on Nyx and see how far it takes to break. So about up to there, right? So you can see how much, a bit bigger it is, or you can't because it's all blocked. Remove it. You can see how much that extra range, that extra break ranges, which is pretty nice for chasing people, right? So another interesting interaction with this ability is that if you cast it on someone and then they activate BKB, they will not be affected anymore, but you'll still be healed. So let's just see what that looks like. I'm pretty low here, so if I use it on Centaur, he uses BKB. You see, I'm still getting healed up nicely there. So that's just a good thing to keep in mind, that if they use BKB while you have this on them, you don't need to fear too much. You'll still get healed and get the movement speed. Now, my opinion on this here is that it's a very strong ability, so please don't underestimate it. Don't just skip this ability and never use it or something like that. It's very, very powerful. Especially if you can cast it on multiple people at once, it just gives you so much sustain and so much movement speed. It's insane. Another important thing is that the drain amount is based on a % of their max HP, which means it's an ability that scales well into the late game, because no matter how much HP they get, you steal a percentage of that. So keep that in mind. And it also allows you to, since you don't really have any stuns or anything else like that, it allows you to keep up with enemies that are trying to run away. You know, why don't they just fight us? They just run like cowards. So it kind of helps to keep up because it slows them and it speeds us up. So it's a very good chasing ability. The worst part about this ability though is that the charge restore time is quite bad. On level 1, right, you get 1 charge and 60-second restore time on that charge. This is why we want to max it out second, right, because it's quite bad early on. We need those extra charges, the damage, we need everything that it gives us, especially the reduced restore time, otherwise it's pretty much useless. And of course in team fights, since we can use it on different people, we want to put it on as many different enemies as possible, you know, to keep ourselves sustained and to deal damage to them. And to obviously slow them so they can't run away from the team. And as I said, we want to max the second after Cryptstorm. And finally, our ultimate ability is called Exorcism, and this is an immensely powerful ability, which you'll see shortly. But what it does, when you use it, let's just go ahead. Oh yeah, I don't want to kill all of them yet. I'll go ahead and use it, and you can see it creates some ghosty creatures which sort of fly around. Don't worry, they can't be killed and you can't control them, or you can kind of control them, but they can't be killed and you can't directly use them. So what they'll do is they'll attack random enemies around you in the area, dealing physical damage, important there. And it is a 700 AoE, which is quite big. And yeah, so they'll also prioritize your current target that you're attacking, which is what I meant when you can kind of control them. So if you want to kill a specific hero with this ultimate, just right-click them. Stay on top of them with the Spirit Siphon, right-click them, and then the ghosts will proceed to attack them, which I think is pretty cool. Interesting little side note is that after each attack, they have to come back to Death Prophet before they can attack again, right? So they hit someone once, come back to Death Prophet, and then hit someone again, so that's how it kind of goes. So this is why we want to be in the middle of the fight, so they can come back to us quickly and then head out again. And also it's very powerful because these things can attack any unit, any enemy unit that's attackable. That includes creeps, obviously heroes, buildings and wards even. They can attack anything like that that's attackable. And when the duration ends, the duration is 35, I think. Yeah, 35 seconds. When the duration ends, the spirits come back to Death Prophet and heal her based on how many times they attacked, right? So if you did lots of damage, you had a big team fight, they'll come back to you and heal you up quite nicely. And another sort of rare case here is you must keep in mind that using Refresher Orb while it's going on literally just ends the ability early. You can't have 2 of them going on. That would be stupidly powerful, but you can't do it. It'll just end the first one early. So please don't try to refresh your ultimate. Alright, as I've said, this is a very, very, very powerful ability and will destroy your soul if you underestimate it. Trust me. It's a great ability for team fighting and for pushing because it can hit towers, right? Even you can use it to kill Roshan, it's also good for that. However, the unfortunate part is that the cooldown is quite long and the mana cost is quite high, but that is understandable though because it is a very powerful ability. In the early game, you should probably use this to kind of push towers because you won't really be having team fights at that stage when you hit level 6. So just try to get a few teammates and then go push a tower whenever it's up. And then later on when you start having team fights, try to use this at the start of the fight and then get in the middle of the fight and use Spirit Siphon to sustain yourself. So let's just go ahead and see what it looks like on the enemies here. It'll do, you'll see there's all level 25 guys, and let's just see how much damage it actually does. As you can see, it is doing quite nice damage here, especially to the poor lion. And when I hit centaur there, they all went for centaur. They all go for sniper now. If I hit the axe with the right click, they all go for axe. You see, they leave sniper completely, or lion rather, alone. So do you see how much damage this ability can actually do? Obviously they don't have any items or anything on them and they're not doing anything, but that just shows how much damage this ability does. And if the enemy chooses to fight under your ultimate, they better be ready to die, because it's insanely amounts huge, lots of damage. And that's about all for her abilities. I just wanted to quickly mention a few items that I think are important for Death Prophet. First of all, phase boots is really good because it allows you to keep up with the enemies, right? We're all about staying on top of the enemies so they can't escape, and using phase boots active helps us out a lot there. Next up is Yule Scepter, which I would say is an every single game item that you get on Death Prophet because it's just so good for us. So I would get this after phase boots or something like that, but get it early on because it just gives us everything we need. It gives us mana regen for farming and gives movement speed again for chasing, and also gives us that important active ability which we can use on ourselves to sort of protect us. Right, because as I mentioned a few times, she likes to be in the middle of the fight, which means that unfortunately enemies are going to cast stuff on you to try and kill you. And you can use this to sort of protect yourself for 2.5 seconds, I think. And remember that you can still heal if you use Spirit Siphon and then you use Yules. So very powerful item for us. And Shiva's Guard is also really good, gives us nice amounts of armor, so we can tank up when we're in the middle of the fights. And again, the active ability stops him from running from us again, which is what we want. Octarine Core, I would also say, is a pretty core item on Death Prophet if you're doing well and you can afford it, because it reduces the ultimate's cooldown, which is really strong here. It puts the downtime of the ultimate from 110 seconds to 74 seconds or so. So it's really good here. Also, the spell Lifesteal is very good because it means ultimate heals us while it's going, and then it heals us afterwards again. So that to me is just really powerful. Obviously, you can't just rush Octarine Core though. Next, I would recommend Assault Cuirass if you don't already have it on your team, because again, more tanking from the armor. But it also obviously reduces the armor of nearby enemies, including towers, which is very good for our ultimate, because remember the ultimate does physical damage, right? So the minus armor there really helps to amplify the damage. And then you'll probably also want to throw a Black King bar in the mix there if they have lots of disable, or just an Eon disc perhaps to kind of get you out of some strong disables. And yeah, that's all I've got actually for Death Prophet. Hopefully I've helped you to understand some of her abilities. I don't think I've missed anything out, but you never know. It's actually quite likely that I've missed something. So if you do have comments, if you have questions, please let me know, and I'll try to get back, or we'll get back to you, and I'll try to help you with those there. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, hope you've learned something, and cheers for now.